The spring weather we are having today is just absolutely beautiful, isn't it?
It really is. The sunshine is just glorious today, and I see you are brewing a fresh cup of tea to enjoy it with.
I certainly am, yeah. The sun is pouring right through the windows, warming everything up so nicely. I have my tea ready. What kind did you decide to make for our conversation this morning?
Well, I went with a warm cup of chamomile tea today. It feels absolutely perfect for sitting quietly in a sunny room. And this spring weather just makes learning feel incredibly fresh and exciting.
Oh, that sounds incredibly relaxing. The spring air really does bring so much good energy and positivity into the day. It makes me want to open all the windows.
I completely agree. And if you are listening to us right now, we invite you to find a nice, comfortable, sunny spot for yourself.
Yeah, grab your own cup of tea, take a long sip, and just relax with us today.
Because the season of spring is the absolute perfect time to grow your vocabulary, right? It is the perfect time to learn.
Exactly. It is the right environment to sit back and learn something entirely new without feeling rushed at all.
Fresh, sunny weather naturally requires fresh, new words to describe the changing world around us.
Well, I have my tea, I have my sunshine, and I am definitely ready to begin our deep dive today.
I am ready as well. Let's jump right into our mission for today.
So we have a very special goal for today's deep dive. We want to help you, our listener, master 20 essential English expressions. And, well, these aren't just random words from a dictionary.
Right, exactly.
These are the specific, powerful phrases you need to understand global news. They will help you read English newspapers with real confidence and debate complicated topics politely with other people. Reading the news in a second language can it can feel overwhelming.
It definitely can.
But we are going to break it down slowly and clearly for you today.
That is right. And we aren't going to just read a list of words to you. We will explore these expressions naturally. We will look at the fast-paced news cycle, the global economy, the climate change crisis, and finally, how to discuss these things politely.
Yeah, we will explain not just what these words mean, but why they work the way they do. Let's begin with our first major section.
Sounds good.
To understand the world today, we have to look at how information arrives on our computer screens. Everything moves incredibly fast now, right? Information doesn't wait for the morning paper anymore.
It certainly doesn't. And that brings us to the first term we are going to learn today, which is breaking news.
Yes.
Let's slow that down just a bit to hear the pronunciation clearly. Breaking news.
I hear that on television all the time.
You do, yeah. We define this as urgent and brand new information that is being reported right at this very moment, exactly as it happens.
Right.
We see this happen when there is an earthquake happening just now, or a severe summer storm interrupting your regular TV show. It also happens if a famous CEO suddenly resigns from a massive company. So, in simple words, it is highly important news happening right this second.
I always notice how stressful breaking news can be. They use loud music and the screen flashes with bright red colors to grab your attention. But wait, can we also use this as an action verb when we're just talking to our friends?
We absolutely can. You can say to your friend, hey, the news just broke yesterday. It means the information finally cracked open and became public.
Oh, I like that. So the news breaks, like an egg cracking open. That makes total sense. But once a story is that important, it usually stays at the top of the news websites all day.
Yes, and that leads directly to our second term. The term is making headlines. I will repeat that slowly. Making headlines.
That one is very common.
It is. This phrase means a story is appearing in the big titles of many different news articles because it is very popular.
Like the biggest stories of the week.
Exactly. Think about a massive bridge collapse in a major city, or a groundbreaking medical invention that cures a disease. We also see it when local firefighters become heroes after a dramatic rescue. So in simple words, everyone is writing and talking about this one big story.
Let's break down the actual words here because English is wonderfully visual. The word head refers to the top part of your body.
Yeah.
And a line is a row of text. So a headline is literally the top line of text on a page.
That is a great way to picture it, yeah.
If a story's making headlines, it is sitting at the very top of the newspaper where everyone's eyes go first.
Exactly. The biggest news always lives at the top. And today, once a story hits that top line on a website, people immediately start sharing it on social media.
They do, and it happens so fast.
It does, which brings us to our third term. The phrase is spread like wildfire. Let's listen to the rhythm of that idiom. Spread like wildfire.
Such a powerful image.
Right. We define this as information moving very fast, especially thanks to modern social media.
It just takes over the internet.
Yeah, like news of a surprise music concert. Or a funny video that goes completely viral online. We also see this with a secret rumor about a celebrity breakup. So, in simple words, it is information moving out of control very quickly.
I can visualize this analogy perfectly, especially with this dry spring weather outside. If a fire starts in a dry forest, it jumps from tree to tree incredibly fast. But when we compare that to the news, well, it is actually quite scary.
It really is.
When false information spreads like a wildfire, it feels like nobody can stop it.
That is the exact psychology behind the phrase. A literal wildfire is deeply dangerous because it creates its own momentum. Often, rumors on the internet are just as uncontrollable.
True. But sometimes that fast-moving information wasn't a rumor at all. Sometimes it was highly real information that was never supposed to be public.
Exactly. And that introduces our fourth term, which is leak news. Let's say that clearly. Leak news.
Like a water pipe.
Yes, exactly like that. This
Yeah.
expression is defined as releasing secret information to the public without permission.
It happens in technology all the time.
All the time, like someone sharing the secret details of the new iPhone 16. Or a business insider giving the media a 5-year financial plan. It even happens when a movie's plot is spoiled by an actor. So in simple words, it is letting a secret drip out to the public.
Let's use a physical comparison for our listener.
Yeah.
Think about a leaky water faucet in your kitchen sink. If the pipe is broken, water slowly drops out. Drip, drip.
Drip. Perfect analogy.
You didn't turn the water on, but it is escaping anyway. The secret information is just dripping out into public view. But do companies ever leak their own news on purpose?
That is a brilliant question. Yes, they do. Politicians and companies often do a controlled leak to test public opinion. But just like a broken pipe, once the water is out, you really cannot put it back in.
Right. Let's take a comfortable sip of our tea as we move forward. We've talked about how news travels so quickly and how secrets drip out like water, but this raises a very serious question.
What is that?
When news spreads fast, how do we know if it is actually true? Who is really telling the story? Let's dive into our second section, which explores truth, secrets, and sources.
A vital part of understanding the news. Our fifth term is blow the whistle. I will enunciate that slowly for you. Blow the whistle.
That sounds like sports.
It does, but in the news, it means informing the authorities about a secret or illegal act because you have a moral obligation.
Oh, wow. That takes bravery.
It does. Imagine an athlete reporting a massive doping scandal or an employee reporting bad, illegal business practices. We also see this when a factory worker exposes serious safety issues. So in simple words, it is shouting to the authorities to stop something bad.
I really love the vivid imagery of this phrase. I picture a referee standing in the middle of a football field. When a player breaks a rule, the referee blows a loud silver whistle.
Right, to stop the action.
Exactly. The sharp sound stops the entire game immediately. That is exactly what a person does when they report a major crime in their company. They're blowing the whistle to stop the game. But isn't that dangerous for the employee?
It can be very dangerous for their career, which is why many countries have strict whistleblower protection laws to keep them safe.
And when someone is brave enough to stop the game like that, journalists always try to talk to them directly, right?
You certainly do. Which brings us to our sixth term, an idiom which is straight from the horse's mouth. I will repeat this highly unique phrase, straight from the horse's mouth.
That is such a strange phrase.
It is a funny one. We define this idiom as getting information from the most accurate or valid source directly.
Instead of a rumor.
Yes, like getting the inside scoop directly from the CEO or hearing the news firsthand from the source.
Yeah.
You also do this when you attend the press conference yourself to get the facts. So in simple words, it is getting the facts directly from the person involved.
I always laugh when I hear this animal idiom. It paints such a bizarre picture in my mind. But wait, is it actually polite for our listener to use this phrase in a formal business meeting? Would I insult the CEO if I called them a horse?
You definitely will not insult anyone, I promise. It is a very playful, common idiom in professional business. It comes from horse racing, actually. You look at a horse's teeth to know its true health. You look straight into the mouth.
Ah, I see. Even when we go directly to the source, sometimes people don't say exactly what they mean out loud, though. They use polite words to hide things.
That happens constantly, which is why our seventh term is so important. The term is read between the lines. Let's feel the rhythm of this phrase. Read between the lines.
I like this one.
This expression is defined as detecting a hidden message that is not specifically stated.
Finding the secret meaning.
Right, like noticing a journalist's true feelings in a polite article. Or sensing a critic was not impressed by a movie despite a good score. We also do this when sensing someone's true feelings in a cheerful letter. So in simple words, it is finding the secret meaning hiding behind the actual words.
We do this in our everyday lives all the time. I think about when a friend is having a terrible day, you ask them how they're doing, they cross their arms tightly, look at the floor and say, I am fine.
They are definitely not fine.
Exactly. The literal words say they are okay. But if you read between the lines of their body language, you know they aren't fine at all.
That is a perfect everyday example. Because politicians hide their true intentions in that white space, journalists have to be incredibly careful with the verbs they use.
They really do.
And that leads us to our eighth term, which is actually a group of reporting verbs. The terms are claim, confirm, and deny. I will pronounce these clearly. Claim, confirm, deny.
This is everywhere in the newspaper.
They are. We define these as ways to report news. Claim means saying something without proof. Confirm means saying it is officially true. Deny means saying it is not true.
Okay, got it.
For example, a minister claiming the economy is improving, or officials confirming a new policy. On the other hand, a company denying a scandal. So in simple words, these are different ways people in the news state their truth.
I really want to emphasize this point for our listener today. When English writers use the word claim, they are secretly telling you that they doubt the speaker. It is a professional way to say, this person said it, but we don't actually believe them yet.
You have just perfectly read between the lines of English journalism.
Well, let's take another nice warm sip of our tea. You're doing wonderfully. We have learned how news travels and how to search for the truth. But when politicians claim things, it is usually about two heavy topics, money and elections.
That is very true.
Let's move to our third section and look at the heavy headlines.
I am ready. Our ninth term introduces economics. The term is bailout. I will say it slowly as one word. Bailout.
That is a big one.
Yes. This noun is defined as giving financial assistance to a failing business or economy to save it from collapse.
It costs a lot of tax money.
It does. We saw this with Greece receiving help from the IMF. Or a failing bank getting government money. It also happens when a large business is saved from bankruptcy. So in simple words, it is throwing a life preserver to a drowning business.
Let's clarify this image for our listener. Imagine you are sitting in a small boat in a lake. A hole opens in the bottom and water rushes in. If you grab a bucket, scoop the water out, and throw it back into the lake, you are bailing water.
Exactly.
A financial bailout is the same thing. A business is sinking, and the government throws buckets of money to keep it floating.
That is a great visual. And of course, the government expects its money back. When a country gets a bailout, they usually go through a lot of pain to repay it.
Yeah, the difficult part.
And that painful period introduces our 10th term. The term is austerity. Let's practice the pronunciation. Austerity? Austerity.
That word even sounds strict.
It really does. This is defined as government cuts to public services to reduce public debt.
People hate it.
They do. It was the byproduct of the 2008 financial crisis, like a country cutting health budgets to save money, or reducing public jobs to pay off debt. So in simple words, it is the government spending much less money on its people to pay off loans.
The logic makes perfect sense when we connect Term 9 and Term 10. A bailout is the emergency rescue, but austerity is the incredibly strict diet you are forced to go on for years afterward.
Exactly, the severe diet. Because large companies want the bailouts but don't want the strict diet, they spend time trying to talk to the government.
Oh, all the time?
And this action is our 11th term, which is lobby. I will say that simply, lobby.
Like the front room of a building?
Yes, but as a verb, it is defined as seeking to influence politicians on a specific issue.
Trying to change their minds.
Right. Imagine a petroleum company trying to stop a fossil fuel tax, or environmentalists asking for green laws. We also see businesses talking to the Senate to change a bill. So in simple words, it is trying to talk politicians into voting your way.
I naturally visualize people literally standing in the lobby of a government building waiting to whisper to politicians. Is that where it comes from?
It absolutely is. Historically, people would wait in the literal hallways and lobbies of Parliament to catch lawmakers.
That makes perfect sense. But eventually, the politicians have to stop listening to lobbyists and face the voters.
That is correct, and the voting process brings us to our 12th term. It is a pair of words. The terms are turnout and landslide. I will say them separately. Turnout, landslide.
Election words.
Yes. Turnout is defined as the number of people who vote. A landslide is winning an election by a massive majority.
Like a total victory.
Right. Think of Obama's huge victory in 2008. Or a local election with very high voter numbers. You might see a candidate crushing the opposition in the polls. So in simple words, turnout is how many people show up, and a landslide is winning by a mile.
I really love the word landslide. I compare a political landslide to a real mountain of dirt and rocks falling down a cliff. It is an overwhelming, unstoppable victory.
It is a massive force, definitely.
Let's pause and take another lovely sip of our chamomile tea. We have covered the news cycle, the search for truth, and economics. But right now, one of the biggest issues politicians are lobbied about is the environment.
It is a massive global topic.
Let's move to our fourth section and look at the climate crisis.
Our 13th term is carbon footprint. Let's say that clearly. Carbon footprint.
We hear this every day now.
We do. This expression is defined as how much CO2 a person, company, or event emits.
Like the pollution we create.
Exactly. The emissions from your daily commute, the pollution from a large factory, or the energy used by a big concert. So, in simple words, it is the invisible mark of pollution you leave behind on the earth.
It is a great explanation. And, I want to bring up a truly fascinating historical fact for our listener. Did you know that the phrase carbon footprint was actually popularized by the massive oil company BP in a 2005 marketing campaign?
Wait, really? The oil company created the trend?
Yes. They spent millions to make regular people focus on their own tiny individual footprints. It was a brilliant strategy to shift the blame away from the oil company's massive pollution and put the guilt on normal people.
That is incredibly ironic. It shows the incredible power of corporate lobbying and language.
Exactly. But despite that, people and governments are trying to make systemic changes now.
They are, and the way they make those changes introduces our 14th term, which is phase out. I will pronounce that slowly. Phase out.
Doing things slowly.
Right. This is defined as reducing the use of something slowly over time.
Step by step.
Yes. Like slowly reducing the use of carbon or stepping away from fossil fuels. We see governments slowly ending the sale of gas cars. So in simple words, it is stopping something step by step, not all at once.
I think this is a highly comforting phrase. Let me clarify the psychology for our listener. It is much easier to phase out a bad habit than to just give it up in one day. You don't just throw all the sugar in your house away on Monday. You phase it out gently.
That is a highly encouraging analogy. It makes global warming feel less impossible to fix.
Unfortunately, some leaders just want to ignore the problem entirely.
That is sadly true, and it brings us to our 15th term. The term is kick the can down the road. Let's look at the rhythm of this idiom. Kick the can down the road.
That is a long one.
It is. This phrase is defined as delaying a difficult decision.
Avoiding responsibility.
Exactly, like governments ignoring climate change policies for later, or avoiding a hard conversation about the economy. We also see a business delaying solving a problem. So in simple words, it is pushing a problem into the future instead of fixing it now.
I have to laugh because I completely admit that I do this with my laundry. When I see a massive pile of dirty clothes, I tell myself I will just do that tomorrow. I am absolutely kicking the laundry can down the road.
We are all guilty of doing that sometimes. But when leaders do it with climate change, the consequences are severe.
Very true. But when good people finally take action, every little bit of effort helps.
Exactly. And that leads to our 16th term, which is make a dent. I will pronounce that clearly. Make a dent.
Just a little dent.
Right. This phrase is defined as making a small impact on a massive problem.
Like trying your best.
Yes, like radical energy changes that barely affect global warming, or a small payment on a massive debt. It is also recycling to help a huge pollution issue. So in simple words, it is making a tiny bit of progress on something huge.
Let's picture the physical reality. Imagine you're standing in front of a giant metal wall. If you hit that giant wall with a small hammer, you won't break the wall down, but you will leave a tiny curve in the metal. You make a dent.
That is a wonderful descriptive image. Your small effort leaves a visible mark of progress.
I want to take a deep, happy breath of this spring air. We have talked about some very heavy topics today. With topics this heavy, people are bound to argue. Let's move to our final section, which is all about how to debate politely in English.
This is perhaps the most practical section. Our 17th term is, I agree to an extent, but. Let's say that phrase smoothly. I agree to an extent, but.
This is a great polite phrase.
It is. This is defined as agreeing with some of an argument, maybe 10%, but not 100%.
Just a little agreement.
Right, like agreeing that solar is good, but arguing it is too expensive. Or agreeing a law is nice, but hard to enforce. You might agree public transport helps, but note it is slow. So in simple words, you are partly right, but here's my different view.
I consider this the ultimate polite weapon to stop a fight before it starts. If you give someone 10% agreement first, their brain relaxes, and then they will actually listen to you.
That is excellent advice. It opens the door for a healthier conversation.
But sometimes, even with polite words, a conversation just turns into a frustrating circle of arguing.
When that happens, you need our 18th term, which is, let's agree to disagree. Let me pronounce that again. Let's agree to disagree.
The peacemaker phrase.
Yes. This is defined as acknowledging you cannot reach a conclusion and deciding to end a heated conversation peacefully.
Just walking away.
Right. Like two friends ending a debate about a sensitive political topic, or coworkers giving up on an unsolvable argument. It is stopping a heated debate that is going nowhere. So in simple words, we accept that we will never share the same opinion, and that is okay.
I call this the friendship saver phrase. It protects the relationship. You drop the heavy rope you were pulling and walk away smiling.
Exactly. Shows great emotional intelligence.
When we are ready to close the door on a topic and make a final decision, we need specific words to signal that the end has arrived.
We do, and our 19th term does exactly that. The phrase is, the bottom line is, let's practice that rhythm. The bottom line is...
The final answer.
Yes. This is defined as the final thought or the most basic, important fact of the discussion.
The main point.
Exactly. Like realizing that despite all debate, action is required. Or summarizing that a company must save money. You might conclude that education is the most important factor. So in simple words, after all the talking, here is the one truth that matters.
It actually comes from accounting. You know, the final line on a math sheet is the final answer. The bottom line is the unchangeable truth.
That is exactly where it originated. It cuts through all the noise.
Well, we have reached the final word of our deep dive today. I am so thrilled we explored all of these concepts together in the sunshine.
It is a great achievement. And our 20th and final term is ultimately Let me pronounce that beautifully for you. Ultimately. Ultimately.
Such an elegant word.
It is. This adverb is defined as introducing your final conclusion or the most important point after considering everything.
Your final decision.
Yes. Like deciding that a solution depends on individual circumstances, or concluding that an issue requires government action. You might share your belief that education is the key to solving social problems. So, in simple words, in the very end, this is my final decision.
We made it to the 20th word. And I just want to point out that ultimately sounds so professional and high level. If you use this word in an English test, the examiner will be highly impressed with your sophistication.
It is a brilliant, strong word to summarize a complex thought.
We have covered so much ground today.
I want to briefly congratulate you, our listener, but remember the golden rule from our source material today. Do not memorize these words and force them into every conversation. Authentic conversational language scores much higher than forced phrases.
Let them flow naturally. And before we finish our tea and say goodbye to the spring sunshine, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. We have learned how to define these words, but do the words we choose actually shape our reality? Think about it.
It is a big question.
If a news anchor says someone claimed a fact, instead of saying they confirmed it, does that change how we view the truth? If they use a passive phrase like kick the can down the road instead of saying politicians fail to act, does that change how the public feels?
It really makes you wonder.
Do the words we use protect the powerful? It is a fascinating question to consider next time you read a headline.
That is a profoundly important thought to leave our listener with today.
Thank you so much for joining us in the bright spring sunshine today. Enjoy the rest of your lovely afternoon. Enjoy the final sips of your tea, and keep practicing your beautiful English.
Goodbye, and keep learning.